Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Chill English, the place where you learn English in the most relaxed, clear, and comfortable way. I'm Quinn, and today we're going to explore a super important skill, active listening. Have you ever watched a Hollywood movie where the characters talk so fast it feels like they're rapping, and all you catch are a few familiar words like coffee or hello? Then you wonder, wait, what did they just say? If you've ever felt that way, good news. You're not alone. Many English learners go through the same experience. Listening in English is challenging not because you're bad at it, but because native speakers talk quickly, swallow words, or mumble, just like we do when we grumble, ugh, I have to wake up early again tomorrow. Instead of trying to catch every single word, which is almost impossible, you need a smarter strategy, active listening. Active listening means you're not just hearing sounds, you're actually receiving information. You focus on rhythm, tone, emotions, and the overall message instead of getting stuck on every tiny word. Imagine someone telling you about a trip. You don't need to remember the flight number or the hotel name. You care about whether the trip was fun and what excited or worried them. In daily life, we often listen passively. For example, when your mom says, "Don't forget to clean your room," you might be scrolling your phone at the same time. 5 minutes later, you don't remember what she said. Active listening is different. You put the phone down, look straight at her, and focus on the message. With English, this kind of focus helps your brain connect sounds to meaning faster, remember longer, and most importantly, you feel more confident. Active listening won't turn you into an English superhero overnight, but with regular practice, you'll find yourself understanding faster, grasping key points better, and feeling less lost when watching movies, listening to music, or chatting with native speakers. The best part? Learning English becomes more enjoyable and fun, just like the spirit of Chill English. Here's an easy way to imagine it. Your brain is like a signal receiver. When you listen actively, it focuses, not distracted by small details or background noise. It helps you catch the main message even if you miss a few words. Like when listening to a song, you don't need to catch every single note. You feel the melody, rhythm, and emotions the singer is conveying. So, make active listening a habit. Before listening to English, take a deep breath, put your phone down, and focus all your attention on the speaker's message and emotions. Just this small step can make a huge difference. Listening becomes easier, more effective, and you gain confidence every day. All right, now let's move on to the second technique. Focus on the main ideas instead of struggling to catch every single word. Many English learners turn listening practice into an endless error hunt. If they miss one word, panic sets in, and they rewind and replay over and over. But think about it. What is the real goal of listening? It's not to write down every word perfectly. It's to understand the message that the speaker wants to convey. When you fixate on every word, you miss the flow of the story. Imagine you're watching an action movie. Cars explode, characters scream, the soundtrack is intense, and the protagonist's face shows tension. You don't need to catch every line to understand that he's in danger, or that the villain is about to act. Your brain is naturally good at putting pieces together into the full picture. Learning a language works the same way. What matters is the big picture first. The smaller details can come later. In everyday communication, this becomes even clearer. For example, imagine a friend says, "I was late to class this morning because the bus broke down." Suppose you don't know how to say broke down in English. So what? It doesn't matter. You can still grasp the two main points. First, they were late, and second, the cause was the bus. You've understood the key idea, which is far more important than stopping immediately to look up a word. In reality, native speakers don't analyze every single word they hear. They listen through context, emotions, body language, and the flow of conversation. Think about it. When you listen to a close friend telling a story, sometimes you don't catch every sentence, but you still understand whether they're sad, worried, or excited. That's because you focused on the main message and emotions, not the grammar. English listening works the same way. When you train yourself to focus on the overall meaning, your brain gradually develops a filtering mechanism. Unfamiliar words or unclear sounds become background details. The more you practice, the more confident you'll feel, realizing that you don't need to understand 100% of the vocabulary to get 80–90% of the content. And when your mind is relaxed, you have more energy to remember new words in real context. The third technique I want to share is imitating intonation. Listening is not just about understanding, it's about feeling. Many English learners focus too much on the meaning of words but ignore the musicality of the language, which makes speech come alive. Pay attention to how native speakers raise their pitch when surprised, lower it when finishing a point, or emphasize certain words to draw attention. These are the soul of communication. When you repeat after them, you're training not only your ears to recognize intonation, but also your mouth to speak more naturally. It's like singing your favorite song. At first, you might not understand all the lyrics, but by singing along, you gradually absorb the melody, rhythm, and emotions conveyed by the singer. English works the same way. By mimicking native speakers' intonation, you gradually pick up rhythm, stress, and nuance. For example, imagine someone says, "Really, that's amazing." If you only learn the meaning, you know it as, "Really, that's amazing." But if you notice how they stress really with a high pitch and then drop at amazing, you feel the excitement spreading. When you repeat it the same way, you're learning not just the words, but how to convey emotion. That's what makes you sound much more native-like. Studies also show that intonation and stress account for 38% of persuasiveness in communication. Albert Mehrabian. In other words, sometimes how you say something matters more than what you say. That's why imitating intonation not only improves listening, but also enhances speaking, presentation, and communication skills. Think of English as a piece of music. When you let yourself sing along with the melody, learning becomes less dry, more enjoyable, and emotionally engaging. Once you've absorbed the rhythm, you'll notice your confidence in communication increase significantly. Now let's move on to the fourth technique, using context to guess meaning. This is one of the most powerful tricks every language learner should know. If vocabulary are scattered building blocks, then context is the guiding light that helps you see the whole picture instead of just a single piece. When learning a foreign language, you'll often encounter new words. If every time you stop to check the dictionary and write down the meaning, your listening or reading flow is interrupted. Relying on context to infer meaning allows you to maintain focus while training your brain to process language like a native speaker. For example, he was shivering, so I gave him my jacket. Even if you don't know what shivering means, you can easily guess that he was probably cold and needed a jacket. Or, she aced the exam after studying all night. Not knowing aced isn't a problem either, because the context already tells you that she did extremely well on the exam after a night of hard study. See, context acts like a silent translator, guiding you without needing a dictionary. The interesting thing is, when you guess words from context, you don't just understand the situation. You also naturally reinforce vocabulary. Instead of learning words in a word-meaning way, you learn them connected to emotions, images, and specific situations. This is what helps long-term memory. For instance, if you first hear the word raincoat in the sentence, "She grabbed her raincoat because the sky turned dark." The image of a girl quickly putting on a raincoat when the sky's about to pour will stick in your mind for a long time. Many linguistic studies also show that the brain learns new words most effectively when there's context. This is similar to how children learn their native language. They don't hold a dictionary. They just listen, observe, guess, and eventually understand. It's the most natural and sustainable way to learn. So instead of stressing over an unfamiliar word, relax and let the context guide you. By doing this, you'll gradually form the habit of inferring meaning, speed up comprehension, and most importantly, turn learning into an enjoyable journey rather than a pressure-filled task. The fifth technique is also quite special because it taps into emotions and personal interests. Choose listening materials that match your taste. This is the key to maintaining patience and long-term motivation. Many learners think that listening to English means only tuning into CNN, BBC, or dry academic reports. But learning a language doesn't have to feel like a heavy-duty obligation. The more you connect it to what you enjoy, the easier and more fun it becomes. If you love cooking, look for English podcasts or YouTube channels about cooking. Listen to the language while learning new recipes. If you love sports, follow match commentaries, player analyses, or post-game interviews. If you like movies, music, fashion, or technology, the internet offers countless options that suit your taste. Listening to English then becomes more like a hobby than a required exercise. It's like reading a book. Forcing yourself through a thick, dry book that doesn't interest you gets you nowhere. But if it's a story you love, you can read for hours without fatigue. Listening to English works the same way. When the content matches your interests, you stay curious and engaged, and your brain remembers faster and longer. Moreover, by choosing materials that match your interests, you naturally accumulate domain-specific vocabulary. For example, football fans get used to words like penalty, referee, offside. Cooking enthusiasts remember words like ingredients, simmer, garnish. This method allows you to learn all in one. English plus specialized knowledge in your favorite field. Most importantly, let English become a natural part of your daily life. Don't treat it as a subject to study. Live it, enjoy it. Once you find the right listening materials, practice no longer feels like an obligation, but becomes a joy. And joy is the most sustainable motivation for progress. Finally, there's one technique that may seem simple, but carries the most enduring power: the sixth technique. Turn listening into a daily habit. English listening is not a short-term project you finish and put aside. It needs to become a natural part of life, just like brushing your teeth or drinking water every day. Let English appear in small moments while walking to the park, washing dishes, riding the bus, or even a few minutes before bed. You don't need long study sessions. Just sprinkle English into your daily life, making it a familiar background music for your mind. At first, it might seem like nothing has changed. Just a few podcast clips, a YouTube video, or a song passing through your ears. But be persistent. After a few weeks, then months, you'll start to notice that the once foreign sounds feel familiar. Your ears automatically recognize words. Your brain responds faster to sentences. Eventually, you may be surprised to realize that you've understood a full conversation without translating it into your native language in your head. That's the power of accumulation. Small, repeated efforts lead to significant leaps. Like tiny drops of water gradually filling a bottle, daily listening gradually builds solid language skills. There's no shortcut more effective than making English a natural part of your life. So those are the 6 techniques I wanted to share in today's session. Thank you for staying with me until the end of the video. I'm Quinn, this is Chill English, and I wish you confidence, patience, and success on your journey to mastering English. See you in the next videos.